Hello! In today's video, I'm going to talk about, are you somebody who is obsessed with literal physical time? Me too. Me too. Not the Me Too movement. That was a horrible movement. Especially for women. Because now it's like, you know that saying that nobody hates women like other women? Ooh, hoo, hoo, hoo. That saying became really, really mainstream with the Me Too movement. Because it's kind of like women don't really like other women, you know? And then they wonder why lesbian couples have the highest divorce rates, you know? The lowest divorce rates are gay men. Which I find strange considering, you know, gay men are not exactly the best married. You know, maybe in a boyfriend to boyfriend relationship, but married? No. Yeah, no. Especially if it's like 10 years down the line, you know? Like for lesbians, it goes in years. For gays, it goes in decades. So, you know, they might be married for 30 years and then, oh, they get a divorce. Which would be the equivalent of 3 lesbian years. Okay? Like, that's basically what I mean. And what does this all have to do with time? Well, exactly that. It literally does. My whole life revolves around being obsessed with time. You know, people take it so for granted nowadays about knowing time. But, back in ancient times, by that I mean like a few hundred years ago, people tended to, well, like, they wanted to know this shit because they didn't have standardized time necessarily like we do today. Yeah, there was the calendar, but you had to be aware of, what day it actually was in order to have that. And people had to basically rely on memory or church time to do so, you know? So, there wasn't exactly a 8 p.m. or a 4:20 a.m., or a 6:32 p.m., or a 7:27 a.m., that kind of thing. Or whatever. Like, it didn't really exist per se. But, eventually, right around 300 to 200 years ago, 200 to 100 years ago, time started to become standardized and it started to get made. But it really wasn't until the 40s, 50s, 60s, and especially the 1970s that time really started to become a big thing. And it was only really until the 1990s and the 2000s that time was just becoming like a big deal. Like it was already standardized, it was already made, but it didn't really start to get fully like in people's heads until that time period. And I want to say the 2010s was the first. We're still in the what do you call it? The photograph, or if you want to be long form with it, because it's a joke amongst, time travelers. Photographic. It's an old joke. It's not as funny, as they like to say it is. But, regardless of what time you're watching this in, but it does have some pizzazz. It does have some laughter to the noise, to the mouth noise, to the language mouth noise. English language mouth noise is is the phrase I am using for this. In fact, you could see a little time thing on the video. You know, it keeps going. That's a standardized second. Yeah, that's right there. We all know when it comes to the seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years, and centuries, it goes a little something like this. There are 60 seconds in a minute. 60 seconds. It's not 60 seconds, 60 minutes in an hour. 24 hours in a day. 7 days in a week. And about 31 to 30 weeks, days per month, which is about 4 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks, I think. Probably 4 weeks. 4 weeks per month, usually. Unless you're in February. February is usually, on most years, 28 days. 28 days. Unless you're watching this on a leap year, then it's 29. And that's assuming you're using the Gregorian calendar. The Gregorian calendar, from its specific date of October 15th, I believe it was, or 17th, depending on who you ask, depending on how you do your research, of 1582. Nobody really got the year wrong. You know, it was the whole calendar fuck up because of, you know, them kind of changing up the calendar to another calendar, that kind of thing. But it's the most worldwide accepted calendar, you know, even if you're not Catholic. When that Pope standardized it, it did give really good Catholic, not that form of Christian, you know, but it did really standardize time. I'll give that specific Pope, I mean, he's obviously dead now, time of recording, but I'm telling you this. He really did standardize a day of time, you know? But how did they know? How did they know that they were in the next day and not just in the same day, you know? How did they know that, hey, maybe we are in a different day than before? How do they know that? How the fuck do they know that? How do you know you're not just going to be stuck in, like, the same day for 300 years? You know? Like, what the fuck are you gonna do? The fuck are you gonna do? We have standardized time now. People take it for granted because they don't really need to think about it. The only time they really need to think about it is if they're put in a situation where they have to constantly think about time. And I wish people didn't take it so for granted, because it's like, did you know that I think a billion seconds is about, there's a difference between 100, 1,000, 100,000, a million, a billion, and a trillion. 100 is about, a little under 2 minutes, 100 seconds. Okay? It's a little under 2 minutes. 1,000 seconds. That's a bit longer, you know? Takes quite a bit more of time. But like 100,000, I'm not sure. Maybe like a week or so or whatever, or like a little, like quite a bit of time. Million seconds is like like a year or so, or a decade, I think. Couple of decades, I think. No, wait. No. Wait. Yeah, about like a couple of months. Excuse me about that. But a billion seconds? You would have to go back all the way to the year 1995 or so for a billion seconds. But a trillion seconds? Like a billion seconds is about 32 years. 31, 32, maybe 30 years. That's about a billion seconds. A trillion seconds? That's about 32,000 years. 32,000 years, somewhere around that range. Long ass time. Very long ass time. You know? I just love time. Sometimes I just like to watch a clock and just watch it tick, 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 and tick. You know? Like, you just go crazy with the fucking tick, 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 and tick. You know? Yeah, I know. Very long time this video has been. Yes. Worthy of a clock. Worthy of telling the literal physical time. Anyway, I probably will see you later, or not, but that was a timed one. Bye.